Welcome back to another episode of Let's Grow Podcast, where we interview the top business owners in the local area. And today we have Daniela Yancovich with IC Surface Studio in Rockwall, Texas. How are you doing?
I'm fabulous.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to have you on here. And this is going to be a pretty cool podcast because, there's a little bit of a family relationship here, and there's no limits, right? So we're just going to kind of get started. But tell a little bit to everybody who you are and kind of what you do.
So my name is Daniela Yancovich, and I am the owner of IC Surface Studio. We are a designer showroom in Rockwall. We specialize in high-end wall tile, floor tile, hardwood flooring, and countertops.
Okay, cool. So when you mentioned a little bit about higher end, so what makes the difference for our audience between your studio and maybe like a, Floor and Decor or a Home Depot or something like that?
Absolutely. So basically it's in the name. It's the fact that we are a studio. We are not a, Bob's Floors and More. We are a boutique showroom. So but our products make us different. We carry high-end products. We carry products that are different, that are really unique. Custom mosaics, a lot of custom products, a lot of natural stones. Same thing with our hardwood floorings, just top of the line hardwood floorings, countertops. But also it's the experience. We designed our showroom around the designer, around the builder, the homeowner, to be a great partner for them, to have all of the tools, to have all of the knowledge that they need. So if you're a designer and you're coming into our studio, that we're there to support you. So it's not you're just coming in and, okay, look around, let me know if you have a question or if you need a sample. It's not that. It's a full service studio.
Got it. So tell a little bit about the back history. So what got you into opening your own studio?
So what got me into opening my own studio is that it was a couple of things. First, it was that there is no design studio. There's no place that you can go and find in those designer products in Rockwall or anywhere just further east from 30. Right now, or before us, if you wanted some of our products, you'd have to go into the design district or maybe South Lake or Plano, Frisco to find the products that we're carrying. So we saw that there was a need there. I mean, Rockwall, and it's just not Rockwall. It's Royce City. It's Rowlett. It's the whole all those areas are there. It's growing, and I mean there's a lot of designers out there, and right now they're having to go into the design district to pick their products. So we saw that there was a need for it.
Yeah.
But why not? I just felt like we were like the perfect, and I keep saying we because it's myself and my husband. He's my partner in crime. In that, we're like, well, why not us? Why not bring it? And it's because, we have that background. I've been in the flooring industry since I was 17. Wow. I mean, my first job was working for my mom, who you might know.
Just a little bit.
Working for my mom because she had it was just a flooring showroom. Flooring showroom in Pleasant Grove. And it was just a little showroom, and it was a very different business model. It was, back in those days, it was a lot of those ceramics, 12 by 12, 89 cent, 79 cent tiles. But that was my first experience with just flooring. And back in those days, I was her pickup and delivery girl. So little bitty me, 18, we'll call it 18 years old. I was going to the different warehouses to pick up product, and then I would work her showroom as well. And so I did that for a while. But then once I actually wanted to get paid, because I was free labor back then, I started working for a Floors and More type showroom, where we had tile and then laminate, a little bit of carpet, a little bit of just a little bit of everything. And so again, it was where I started getting more and more experience with working with clients and selling the different products. After that, I started working for a company called Marazzi Tile. And so I really developed my operational skills because
Okay.
I was the assistant manager at their Plano branch. And so, managing the warehouse, the cycle counts, the showroom as well, that's where I got my operations background, still in the industry,
Yeah.
but, the operations side. Then I did that for a few years. I transferred to their Dallas store, which is their biggest store in here in North Texas. Then after that, I moved to the finance side, which it was kind of by accident that I ended up on the finance side. I was not looking to be the finance. My sister's more the finance person, not me. But I had taken a little bit of time off because I wanted to spend time with my son. At the time, Isaiah my son was, he had just started kindergarten. And so I wanted to take some time off. And also I was looking for something that was a little bit closer to home. And it just so happened it was still from Rossi Tile, but at their corporate offices, they were looking for someone to work in their credit department. And, someone spoke to someone else, and then they found out that I wasn't working and that I wanted to be close to home, which, that office was back then 10 minutes from where I lived.
Where you were at.
And so they said, hey, come in. I said, well, I don't even have a resume ready. Or, they're like, don't worry about it. Just come in, talk to the credit manager, and we'll go from there. Okay, sure. Went in. I was there for a little over 2 hours talking to the credit manager and just talking about just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But what he liked about me is it was actually that I had the experience at the stores. I knew the clients. I knew the process. And so he felt, that by bringing that in, I could make more of a connection with our clients to kind of bring together the service side and then the credit side, the financial side. So that's how I ended up in finance. It was, they just, hey, I was available. They called me. They're like, I think it's going to work. Bring your knowledge to us. And it did. It worked.
Yeah. So, but what made you want to go into business for yourself, right? Because being an entrepreneur, being a business owner, it has its ups, it has its downs, it has its pros and cons, and it's not for everybody, right? And being a business owner is not cut out for the average person out there. And I'm not saying that everybody's average, but it takes a lot, right? You actually probably put more blood, sweat, tears, finances into it before ever seeing anything. So what brought you to really want to open your own studio for everybody out there in the Rockwall or East of 30 area?
So you're right. It's a huge investment. It's a gamble. And, working I worked in the corporate world for 16 years total. And, I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to you work, over the 8 hours. You're, working on weekends, you're working nights. And especially if you're a salary employee, you're not getting any more. You're working and working, but for someone else. And to better, their process, their department, their sales, whatever it is. And so I had so much knowledge in that industry, and and actually it was thanks to my husband, who really was like, you can do it, let's do it, come on. Because I was, like a lot of other people, I was really, really scared to leave the corporate world. Yeah. It's your insurance, your benefits, especially after the pandemic. We wanted to do this before the pandemic. And then the pandemic happened, and it was like, okay, let's maybe wait. Because we just didn't know what was going to happen. And, around the pandemic, I was actually really busy in my corporate career because, I was responsible for all of the incentive processing. And so regardless of what's going on, whether it's 10 people or, almost 300 people, which is, how many I processed monthly, someone still had to do it. So I was still busy. And it actually, honestly, I feel like that actually scared me. And it took me even longer to finally say, hey, I'm going to bet on myself. And so I mean, thanks to my husband's support and really just saying, hey, again, why not us? Why can't it be you? Why can't you have, you be the one to bring these because I would have all these ideas of like, hey, if our showroom looked like this, and hey, we could market like that, and we bring this in, but it was more than just that. It was, I want to be part of our community. I want to be, part of the Chamber of Commerce. I want to be involved in this and involved in that. Well, in order to do that, you can't do that in a corporate career.
Else, yeah.
It has to be you being a leader, being part of the different groups. And so, he's like, come on, let's do it. And so then I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And I told my boss, and it's like, all right, I already told him I can't, I can't undo it. And so it was one of the scariest things I've ever done, but I'm so happy that I did it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and it's like what you said, right? Because when you work for the corporate world or you work for somebody else, that's okay. You can do that.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, like you mentioned, you're putting so much time, and sometimes you're just a number in the corporate world. What happens if you screw up? You're out the door. You've spent all that time, invested money, and away from your family, sacrifices, late nights, working for somebody else. And at the end of the day, if you screw up or you keep screwing up, or they get acquired by somebody else, and then they have their own teams to bring it in, you're just a number. You're gone in a split second, and they have no remorse over it, because at the bottom line, that's how they run their business.
Absolutely.
I
mean, what I think, and I don't know if this applies to everyone, but I think it's an excuse. But with some people, I think sometimes we tell ourselves is, I'm needed. No one else can do what I do. And, it's with what I was doing, processing incentives and, paying this many people, you start to think like, well, no, they need me. They do. And I one day, and it actually helped me to finally,
Make the jump,
was that I like realized, no, they don't need me. Like, someone else can do this job.
Yeah.
And someone else can do it even better. And I was part of even the process of replacing myself, because I gave them like 2 months notice to, find someone for me to train them, for me to also train another person from my group that I had just hired. But my point is that was one of my excuses for not doing it. But it was out of fear, is that we think, well, no one else, they can't do what I do. No. Guess what? There's always someone else that can do your job.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I mean, if I'm a company, if I'm, this big corporation I'm working for, it sounds kind of cold, but I have to have the person who's next.
Mm-hmm.
Except when it's your own business. Because that's it. My husband helped me to, lay the foundation of my business. But at the end of the day-to-day is me.
Yeah.
And so there's no replacing. Like, that's the one place where nobody's going to replace you, because you're your business.
Of course. Yeah.
Whereas if you're still in the corporate world, that's just what it is.
That's just what it is, yeah. So let's talk about some of the products you have at your studio, right? So what companies or brands are represented in your studio, and why did you choose to align with those companies, right? Because when it comes to tile, when it comes to flooring, when it comes to all these surfaces, there's probably hundreds and thousands of different brands and companies out there. So which ones do you have, and why did you choose to align yourself with those products?
So, the picking the right products, the right companies to partner with was actually a little bit more challenging than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Again, because of our business model, it's you have to do a lot of research and then partner up with, let's say it's 3 different tile companies. Well, they have to be the right ones. One has to work with the other one, because I can't bring in, someone who carries, let's say, just all 12 by 12 tiles. Well, they also carry the same thing, and they carry the same thing. And then I'm not bringing our clients a good mix so they can make their selections. So did a lot of homework, a lot of research in the companies. Again, thankfully, I haven't mentioned this, but my husband has 30 years in the industry. I've been in the industry 20 years. My husband's been in the industry for 30 years. And his background is the sales, marketing, and product development side. So I was really, really blessed to have him on my corner and helping me, guiding me to, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is, what product category I want. Okay, you should reach out to so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. And so, we have a couple of different brands. What makes them unique is, one, exclusivity. I have a couple of brands that we are the exclusive dealer for them in our area. So again, you can go to the design district. They have some of our brands, but basically on this side, of 30, across the lake, we are the exclusive dealers for these brands. And so we look for quality. We look for, you have a good array of different products. So you have your wall tiles, your floor tiles, and also what makes them different. So, we have a company that's great at artisan glass. Just beautiful. I mean, it looks like an art piece on the wall. Then, we also have, someone who specializes in concrete tiles. That's all they do. That's their specialty. It's what they're known for. We have one that they make these beautiful handmade Moroccan Zalige tiles. I mean, they're made in the ways that people have been making them for years. They're putting them in molds. They're chipping out. So it's products again that are they're different, but also that it's really important that we also have a good partnership with those different suppliers, because I need, if I'm bringing in one of your products, let's say it's a Let's Grow product that I'm carrying.
It's coming soon, guys. Just letting you know.
Look out for the end of 2024.
Yeah.
But I need you also to be a good partner. Like, not only is it that the products are good, but also that you're going to support me and giving me and teaching me. What makes your product unique. They can't install it. It can be installed on the wall, but not on the floor. What type of sealers? What type of cleaners? What should they stay away from? All of that knowledge, that's also really, really important, that we're partnering up with companies that are going to give us all that knowledge.
Yeah.
But it's quality is first. It's design, a good array of products, and then also great vendor partners. That's honestly almost as equally as important as having good products, is that I have a good partner that's going to teach me, because whenever you come in, I have to be then a good partner for my clients. And be able to answer their questions.
And it's just like in real estate, right? When we have our vendor partners, our lenders, our title companies, our inspectors, we have to have that great partnership with them, because at the end of the day, they're going to be helping our clients. And if we don't have a good partnership, then it's going to make the experience bad. And they're either going to fire us or go somewhere else, or in your case, want their money back, whatever that is, right? And so it works the same. Vendor partners make a huge difference. And the great thing about your studio is, one, you did the research. You're not just bringing in the cheapest stuff. You're not bringing in the top high dollar stuff, right? You're bringing in the things that work together, where you can maybe even blend in some of the companies, but they go well together. So it's not like you're just going up to Home Depot and you're like, okay, what do I want? I have nobody here that can help me, because they don't really know about the products or the tiles. And then they're like, well, does this look good? Well, you've kind of already did all that research to when the designer comes with their client, or the client comes, they're like, well, what goes well with this? Oh, well, guess what? This brand goes well with this, or this style. And so you're not all over the place. You have it all put together, so then that way it eliminates time, because they're not spending hours and hours and hours thinking of what goes well together. And it's not overwhelming, because sometimes, like when we build new homes, right, and we take our clients to the big design showrooms that these builders have, and they have probably millions of pieces there. Yes, the designers help them, but then they get overwhelmed because there's too many things to pick from. They're like, well, what do I pick? And so when you have a more experience like your studio, that's more private, it's not open to everybody to come in at the same time, they can take their time and look at the options and not be rushed, and things like that. So that makes a great deal when you choose a studio. And I think a lot of times when you think about it, like you mentioned, you're on, and if you're not familiar with North Texas, you're on the east side of the DFW Metroplex across Lake Ray Hubbard, right? We all know what that traffic looks like. And like you mentioned, there's no big design districts over here on this side of town until you came and opened your doors, because we're still growing in this area.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, well, if I'm buying a house over here, why do I got to drive an hour and a half to 2 hours and go do all this stuff? It's like, no, we've bridged that gap, and you can just come to the studio and do it all on this side of town, right? It's almost like if these big companies are like, they ain't got nothing over there. We don't need that clientele, right? But you opened it up. You opened your doors up for this side of town and whatnot. So what do you see as the biggest challenge as an entrepreneur or a business owner, do you think?
Just in general?
Just in general.
Oh, man. I think the biggest challenge, honestly, I would say it's fear. Again, from my experience, it's the fear of, hey, that jump. And then once you jump, it's, the fear of, okay, did I create a solid business model? Mm-hmm. It's the fear of, did I do this right? Hey, if I had done this, that. And it's fear, but I think there's also fear in that, hey, this has got to work because my fear that this is going to happen. So it also kind of pushes you, can push you, is that I'm so afraid. Yes, just focus more on, I'm afraid of what the opposite would be. So although this scares me, I'm going to approach it this way. I'm going to try this out. Okay, this didn't work. Guess what? You're the owner. If this didn't work, okay, let me try this other thing. Or, okay, that didn't work. All right, I'm going to try this. Okay, these 4 things didn't work. Let me try the 5th one, and then that 5th one will work. Yeah. So, in my experience, it's been fear.
That's what holds a lot of people back from even starting their own business, right? They're passionate about what they want to do, but they fear the worst. And sometimes it's even worse that they fear not starting, because then they're just going to stay complacent at what they're at and be okay and grow older and say, man, I wish I would have done it a long time ago, or things like that. And so I think it's because our world, they don't teach entrepreneurship in school. At least they don't teach, different things of how to start your business in school. And I think that system is broken from that standpoint. Like when you come out of high school, you have options, right? You can go to trade schools. You don't have to go to the 4-year college and get the big degree. Even with social media, YouTube, and all these other big influencers, right? They don't teach us this. And so it's scary to start it because we don't know what to do and how to do it. But it's like what you said. It's like you can take that leap of faith and be okay, but then use a different form of fear to push you even further. And things like that. So
no, you're right. I mean, I think at school they really, which I guess works for the masses, is that they teach you to go get a job and work for, this is who you want to work for. Yeah. They don't necessarily teach you or give you the skills of, well, do it yourself, be your own, so already from when you're a kid, when you're young, you're being taught a certain way, and so when you do decide to be an entrepreneur, you're going against what you've been taught is the path. It's the right way to go. It's how you're going to be able to support your business. It's how you're going to leave a legacy for your children, and you're going against everything you're taught, which is why it's so. I mean, like I told you, when after the pandemic, I was already nervous before, but I was like, okay, we're going to do it. And then after the pandemic, it scared me. And, it took me, the pandemic was, 2020.
2020, yep.
And it wasn't until just last year that I was like, all right, I'm finally going to do it. And still it's scary. But, I let that, like, and you're right, how you were saying earlier that, like, oh, wish I would have done it sooner. I wish I would have done it sooner. Yeah. Even though, because guess what? Our industry, at least for the building products, was doing just fine during the pandemic.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I would have been just,
Yeah.
hopefully, right, in theory. But it was the fear that kept, holding me back.
So if somebody's looking to remodel their home and they're wanting some flooring more luxurious, because at the end of the day, guys, when you're remodeling your home, make it for you, because you're going to be the one enjoying it, right? And a lot of times people go the cheap route and, oh, what can be the resale? Great. But at the end of the day, you still need to enjoy what you're putting into it.
Absolutely.
So if I'm looking to remodel my home, where do I get started? Do I contact you right away? Do I need to find a designer? Like, walk me through the next couple minutes of what it looks like if I want to remodel my home and how I can go see what you have and things like that.
So there's a couple of different ways you can approach it. If you choose to hire a designer, you're more than welcome to. I will, work with your designer. If you don't, want to hire a designer or just not in your budget, although we do specialize in high-end products and luxury products, we have a good balance of products. So the first thing I ask people to do is, first of all, reach out to me, and then let us schedule a meeting. But, send me your share your Pinterest board with me. Send me your pictures, because what I like is whenever you're there is for me to have at least something pulled for you. If you're, going for, if you're, redesigning your kitchen and you're going for, country chic, or, you want something more modern, more traditional, if you're looking for grays, for browns, greens maybe, I can have, something for you ready to kind of get those, creative juices going and give you a place to start.
Yeah.
Because it can be overwhelming. It can be intimidating. Although our showroom is, I purposely designed it in a, as sleek and just not cluttered way, because it's a balance. That's also been a little bit of a challenge. It's a balance of having enough products for your selection, but not being overwhelming. And so I like to help that by, again, pulling some pieces that, based on what you want to do.
Yeah.
And so we'll start there. And the thing is, we're located inside the Trend Building. It's on the 6th floor. So we don't have any traffic. And so we are able to just sit there, spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in our showroom, and just, you're not rushed. You're not fighting for the attention of your salesperson because, someone came in earlier for the next appointment. That was, it's part of our business model, is that we are able to give you that attention. We're able to, and guess what? If let's say there's a product, which has happened to me before, I've actually done this now more than you come in and select something, is someone will send me a picture and say, okay, I want this. I'm like, all right, challenge accepted. I either will find you that, because we're not, I don't want to say any other stores names, but we're not, there's some stores that they're part of a buying group. And so they only have access to this many brands.
Yeah.
And they really can't go out of that. If you're at the home centers, it is what it is. What's there is there. That's it. But with us, if I don't have it there, I'll go find it for you.
Yeah.
And I'll bring it in. If, let's say, this is your budget, okay, let me find this. If you're looking for a shade of green, but it's not dark green, it's not lime green, it's a little bit of, I'll
you have
find
the ability
it for
to cater to the
ability,
client,
exactly.
and going and finding what they truly want versus just saying, this is all I have and this is what you have to pick.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how can people set an appointment with you? How do they get a hold of you to come check out your studio and see if, what they are looking for, you have it, or you go find it for them?
You can call me, you can email me, you can send me a message, you can send me a text. I mean, you can, well, maybe not smoke signals. I might not see the smoke signal. You can try it, though. Maybe I have a little bat signal.
A little trained pigeon that goes.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, email me, call me. Our social medias are all at IC Surface Studio. Our website is icsurfacestudio.com. You can, I even have a calendar link there, so you can schedule a visit that way. But my schedule is flexible. Our normal hours are, 10 to 4. Yeah. But if, the only time you have is when you get off of work. I live in Rockwall, and our business is in Rockwall. I'll come and meet you. If it's on the weekends, I'm happy to schedule a visit then.
Great. So there you go, guys. If you are looking to remodel your home, you need some surface options, and you want something that's unique to your style, be sure to reach out to IC Surface Studio. They have an amazing studio there. We've been to it. We've shopped at it. So be sure to check them out. Like she said, they're in the trends, but go to icsurfacestudio.com and you can set up your appointment there. So thank you so much for being on our podcast today. I really enjoyed it. And there we go. Let's just keep growing.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Come visit me.